with what might be the best team in the NFC, Nick's Eagles. They went into Baltimore, put their feet on the coffee table and said, John Harbaugh, bring me a sandwich and a soda pop. Eagles are now 10-2. They have won 8 straight. NFC odds, Lions, Eagles, Packers, and Vikings. Does Philly deserve to be NFC favorites?
I think they're the best team in the conference. And there's multiple reasons. Let me talk about Detroit for a second here, because I don't think Detroit had a bad win. I don't think there is such a thing as a bad win. I think it was good that they won that game. What was bad about that win is how many injuries they suffered. And that game, to me, was a clarion call to all the teams playing Christmas Day. If you have anybody even slightly banged up playing Saturday to Wednesday, sit those guys. Sorry, Netflix, but I don't think the Lions suffer all those injuries if it's not a 1 p.m. Thursday game. And so it's just as brutal of a spot as imaginable. So I feel sick for them that that's happened, but when you already had Hutchinson down, Anzalone down, and then all those guys Thursday, that hurts them significantly. I also think right now the Eagles are totally comfortable with who they are offensively. It felt like last year, Jalen Hurts was almost trying to prove he deserved the contract. Coach talked about that. Sure. And this year, it doesn't feel like he's trying to prove anything individually, statistically, and he's playing his best version of football. They have, and Bruce saw this one coming, the guy who I think is the NFC MVP or the NFL MVP in Saquon Barkley. And if we show what they've been statistically, the thing that I never thought we would say about the Eagles is, oh, they have the best defense in the league, maybe. The best defense in that conference, almost certainly. And so all those things, to me, make them the best team right now in the conference.
I agree with you. I think Philly is playing the best football in the NFC right now. Now, my pick is Green Bay. I feel good about the way they're playing. I'm confident they can get out of the NFC. But I do think, just based on what's happened to this point, Detroit should be the favorite. Now, the injuries, that's terrible. But they've actually played well, and I think you had a graphic last week. Their numbers have been better defensively without Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. So maybe they can withstand this. But they have the better passing quarterback. Now, if you want to argue, it could be a close race overall, but Goff is clearly a better passing quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I like Sirianni more than Nick, but I'd give Dan Campbell the edge as the coach, right? Defensively, you're right, it's definitely probably a wash. I mean, but Detroit is a little bit higher ranked in terms of scoring defense. They've been a little better. Offensively, Detroit is the leading scoring team in the league at 32 points a game. Philadelphia is around 27 points. So, and point differential, Detroit has the best in the league by a mile. And so I think just based on these 13 weeks, it's fair to say Detroit should be the favorite because they've beaten more teams with winning records and all the other things I just mentioned.
Yeah, for me, it's Detroit. Look, I picked this team to make the Super Bowl. I like Philly. I like I think they're trending in the right direction and they're peaking at the right time. And you talked about being comfortable with who they are. This is when you want to find out who you are and be in that lane and drive in that lane. However, for me, what Detroit is doing, despite all the injuries, one thing about having guys injured and having guys that typically wouldn't play, you know this from Kansas City, they're getting so much experience and building confidence because they're still continuing to win and find ways to win, whether it's blowouts, whether it's comeback wins like they had against the Texans, whether it's just hold on to a win in a tight spot against a rival team in the Bears. These are all valuable moments of experience for these guys who are getting time that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get right now. And so you can build on that too, especially when you have a coach that's going to always pour energy into you and confidence.
Okay. It's always fascinating to see these guys continue to doubt the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I'm not really interested in who's favored in this because I'm going to be really consistent, because anytime there's a segment about the Kansas City, is it an insult to have the Bills favored over the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever? And I'm always like, no, that doesn't make any sense. There's no insults, yada, yada, yada. The Bills are a great team, or, whatever it may be. The Chiefs shouldn't be favored every single game. And it's the same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Lions. You're talking about two great teams. So do they deserve to be NFC favorites? It's like it becomes a question and a conversation that just doesn't fundamentally matter to me, because to me the real question is like, do both these teams deserve to be favored, right? Do both of these teams deserve to be considered the top NFC dogs? And the answer is yes. And so to see like who should be favored, who do you think is the better team, it becomes impossible to tell. Because yeah, some of this point differential and this or that, are the Lions doing this against, blowing out some bad teams, which is not something that necessarily the Eagles do. But then when we say like, oh, this team has more wins versus teams with winning records, and it's like, again, some of those data points are interesting when you're in like week 5, week 6, week 7, you're trying to make sense. But now we have like real game footage, and we have these teams playing completely different teams, different styles, different quarterbacks. And so when you see what the Eagles have done in the different ways the Eagles have won, it's really, really impressive. So the takeaway is that the Eagles are great and they can win so many different ways. They were able to win without AJ Brown, without Devontae, right? Without a big game from Saquon. They were able to win with big games from those players, with everyone missing offensive linemen. A game where they needed Jalen Hurts to play great and push the ball down the field. Having Jalen Hurts not push the ball down the field. Having Jalen Hurts having to use his legs and being that the big factor in his game. Having Jalen Hurts barely use his legs. Like, you've seen so many different permutations of how the Eagles have been able to win. And it's obviously been wildly impressive. And on the other hand, the Detroit Lions have also been really, really, really impressive. And that's why at this point of the season, I kind of felt this way when we were talking about earlier about Saquon Barkley and Josh Allen MVP conversation, which is why I really kind of just like gently touched it at the distance. Because it's like, I'm not going to come here and try to try to like bring down Saquon in favor of Josh, or try to bring down Josh Allen in favor of Saquon. Because what both of those players are doing are unbelievable. And they both should be just nothing but universal praise. And I get it. We're talking about sports. You're going to have competition. Everyone's always trying to figure out who's better, better player, better team, better whatever, better coaching. So I get it. I'm not trying to be like, hey, we all need to just hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But I just look at it like this, of like this season at this point, I see the Lions and the Eagles as just two ferocious competitors. And I see, and honestly, the Packers, I think, are coming in. The Vikings. Like, I really think like this NFC, like everyone always just says, oh, the NFC is the weakest conference, and they just say it like so casually. And it's like, what the heck's going on in the AFC, man? Like, what are we talking about here? I didn't realize it was Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Like, I didn't realize all those guys are all there right now in their prime with stacked rosters. Because I'm looking over here in the NFC and I'm seeing the Eagles, a bunch of dogs. The Lions, a bunch of dogs. The Vikings, a bunch of dogs. Packers, bunch of dogs. So that's why I'm saying, like, who deserves to be favorites? Like, it doesn't matter, right? Just evaluate these teams individually and then see who shows up on game day. That's ultimately what it will come down to. If we had an NFC Championship game right now, and this is, we're about to say, oh my God, they're playing tomorrow. Eagles, Lions. For some reason, both fields were unavailable, so it's just a neutral field. And it was just like, let's go. Who's winning this game? I would honestly, from the bottom of my heart, say I have no idea, but I cannot wait for this game. Because I believe in both these teams. I believe in both these teams can absolutely ball. And that is the most honest answer that I could give. And I know you're not going to see answers like that on TV, because that's why all of them are saying, nope, the Lions are better. The Lions are better. Nope, the Eagles are better. The Eagles are better. And I cringe at such confident statements in that, because there's no way of knowing. Honestly, there's no way of knowing. And I'm not going to be so quick to say Dan Campbell's the better coach than Nick Sirianni. Says who, man? Says who? I think Dan Campbell's an unbelievable coach. I really do. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that was a truer statement maybe a few weeks ago when things were kind of seemingly about to just like collapse on Nick Sirianni, but I don't know how true that is. And again, I don't feel the need to try to bring down Dan Campbell to try to elevate a Nick Sirianni, but like, Nick Sirianni has been to the playoffs every single year. Nick Sirianni has gone to a Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni's about to win multiple divisions. So he's been that guy too. And again, we can say, well, hey, the Eagles have a stacked roster. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Credit to Howie Roseman. Credit to Jeffrey Lurie. Credit to the Eagles team getting it done. To the players wanting to sign there. And this is why I always reference, like, look what the Bengals. Bengals can't sign Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I mean, they can't figure it out. The Eagles, they're like, all right, we got AJ, we got Devontae, hey, we got Saquon. They find a way to keep everyone. Everyone's happy. And so what Nick and I think Greg were saying is that the Eagles are happy with their identity right now. And again, that's a testament to the Eagles culture. That is the Eagles culture. That credit goes to the players and Nick Sirianni to really instilling in them this we, not me mentality. That can't be understated. You don't have Jalen Hurts trying to prove that he's worth that money. You don't have A.J. Brown either. I talked about this in another video. A.J. Brown has completely grown up. Completely grown up. He understands, you know what? I'm a Philadelphia Eagle. They have paid me mountains of cash. I am not here to show to everyone that I'm the greatest wide receiver ever. I'm not here to get 20 touchdowns, 10,000 yards, and show everyone, hey, look at me, look at me. I'm here to win. Some games, you know what? I am only going to touch the ball. I'm only going to get 4 targets, and I'm going to make every single catch count. And he said that. He said that in an interview that I quoted in my other video, where they asked him to say, hey, how do you feel that this is a run-first team now? And he totally buys in. A couple years ago, he was not. You saw it on the sideline. He wanted that energy. He wanted those balls. He wanted to be that guy. And so what he's been able to do as a leader for this team has been amazing. Absolutely amazing. Everyone thought losing Jason Kelce was going to be this devastating blow. I don't have this out. I meant to have this here, but I didn't. I'll have to save it for another video because this table right here, they all said the tush push doesn't work. Oh my God, they had a whole segment about the tush push is not working. What do the Eagles need to do? And they all went down. Nick was like, this is a big concern. And Greg Jennings was like, yeah, man, they're going to have to try to change and figure something else out. Do you know that the tush push actually has a higher percentage this season than last year? Literally, they have a higher success rate this year than last year. That's amazing. Losing your Hall of Fame iconic, one of the greatest, if not the greatest centers of all time. They lose that big personality, that big leader that everyone said, oh, he makes it go. He makes it go. Hopefully I said Jason Kelce, not Travis Kelce. I have a habit of mixing that up. You know, and yet they've gotten better. The O-line has gotten better. That is coaching staff to the core, culture, players. Earlier in the season, you could point out flaws. I defended them with their injuries, but then I also pointed out, hey, this team does not look ready to play. This team is ready to play. And when a player goes down, they step up, which shows you coaching. Whether it's position coaches, whether it's the big daddies of Sirianni, Kellen Moore, Fangio, or the names that people don't even know. You can see it. That's what this team has going for them right now. And so to doubt that, I mean, it is kind of funny. And again, I'm not trying to bring down the Lions because I think the Lions are a top team in the NFL. I really, at this point, I'm like cringing at the idea of having to do these tiers or the herd hierarchy because it's just like, man, I put these teams all at number 1 at this point. Because again, I have no idea what is Josh Allen going to do against the Detroit Lions or the Philadelphia Eagles. I have zero idea. Zero. I know it's probably going to be pretty great. So anyone who has any type of confidence, I appreciate it. You're either just a true diehard fan, which I'm a little bit envious of you, or you're just delusional and you're just like, you just kind of believe in whatever. But it's like, if we actually look at this like more from like, and I don't mean delusionally like insulting way, I just mean like, it's just like you don't have all the information then. And it's one of those things where it's just like, there's still so much doubt around the Philadelphia Eagles, and I do find it fascinating. I do find it fascinating that there's still that lack of faith in Kellen Moore, in Sirianni, in Fangio, in Jalen Hurts. They have faith in Devontae and AJ and Saquon, but it does seem that there is a lack of trust and faith in Jalen Hurts, Kellen Moore, Fangio to a degree, although maybe less so now, and Nick Sirianni. Those 4 guys. People don't have that unconditional, well, you know they're going to show up. And that's interesting. I wonder if that narrative will change this season. And what will it take for that narrative to change? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles continue to getting the lack of support from this table, except for apparently Nick Wright, because I guess, you know, he's eating cheesesteaks and drinking soda pop. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.